Mike Tyson wasn't just a boxer, he was a living storm. A force of nature wrapped in gloves, born from chaos, sharpened by pain, and unleashed on anyone foolish enough to stand in his way. They called him Iron Mike, but he was something far more terrifying than metal. He was primal energy, rage with precision, fury with footwork, and destruction with discipline. When Tyson entered the ring, it wasn't just a fight. It was a hunt. His eyes were cold, his steps measured, and when the bell rang, every punch carried the weight of his story. A boy who had survived hell and was now determined to make the world feel it too. The 1980s belonged to Tyson. Every time he laced his gloves, the arena buzzed with an electricity that no other fighter could generate. He wasn't just winning fights. He was rewriting the language of fear. You could hear it in the crowd's gasps, see it in his opponent's trembling knees, and feel it in the silence that followed his knockouts. The man was a machine built for dominance. His punches weren't thrown, they detonated. His left hook didn't just connect. It rearranged destinies. Tyson wasn't boxing. He was punishing, but every storm meets resistance. For Mike, that resistance came in many forms. The cocky opponents who underestimated him, the critics who dismissed his talent as brute force, and the demons inside his head whispering that he'd never escape his past. Yet in the ring, those demons became fuel. Against fighters like Trevor Berbick, Larry Holmes, and Andrew Galata, Tyson wasn't merely defending titles, he was exercising something deeper. Each knockout was a message. Each victory was vengeance. When Tyson faced Trevor Berbick, he wasn't fighting for a belt. He was fighting for history. Berbick was the man who had sent Muhammad Ali into retirement, and Tyson wanted to avenge the legend he grew up idolizing. What unfolded that night was pure cinematic justice. Every punch from Mike was a thunderclap, every movement a declaration that the future had arrived. Berbick crumbled, stumbled, and fell again and again until the referee had no choice but to stop the slaughter. Tyson didn't just win. He became the youngest heavyweight champion in history, only 20 years old, and already the most feared man alive. But the road ahead was littered with provocations and predators. Mitch Green, a self-proclaimed gangster, tried to challenge Tyson both in and out of the ring. He claimed he could destroy the champ, demanded money, and turned their professional feud into a public spectacle. Tyson responded not with words, but with brutality. Their match became less of a boxing bout and more of a slow, deliberate dissection. Tyson toyed with Green, punishing him for every arrogant syllable he had ever spoken. And when Green later confronted Mike on the streets of Harlem, Tyson ended that rematch with a single devastating punch that left the gangster's face swollen and his ego shattered. That punch became the stuff of legend. The ring was Tyson's kingdom, and every challenger was an intruder. From the towering Jose Ribalta to the rugged Carl Williams, every man who entered that ring with Tyson left with a part of themselves missing. Tyson didn't just knock people out, he humiliated them. He stripped away their confidence, their composure, their belief that they belonged in the same space as him. For a generation, Tyson was the embodiment of controlled chaos. You couldn't prepare for him. You could only survive him. And then came the monsters who dared to mock him. Frank Bruno was one of them, a towering Brit who vowed to humble Tyson, to knock him out and wipe him off the map. Bruno's bravado lasted about as long as the first round. Tyson cornered him, unleashed a barrage of uppercuts and hooks, and turned his threats into blood and silence. When the referee stopped the fight, Bruno's body sagged, his spirit broken, and Tyson stood tall once more, proving that talk meant nothing when the fists began to fly. Yet even the baddest man on the planet could bleed. Donovan Razor Ruddock wasn't like the others. He was power meeting power, a warrior with a weapon so unique it terrified the division, his smash punch. When Tyson and Ruddock collided, it wasn't a boxing match, it was a war. Every punch echoed like cannon fire, every round a test of human endurance. Their first encounter ended in controversy, the referee stopping it too soon, robbing Ruddock of the chance to go out on his shield. The outrage that followed demanded a rematch, and when it came, both men were ready to die before they quit. That second fight was carnage. Tyson's aggression was volcanic. Ruddock's defiance was heroic. They traded bombs, both men landing blows that would have ended lesser fighters. Tyson sent Ruddock to the canvas twice, but each time Razor rose like a man possessed. Even with a broken jaw, he refused to back down. The two brawled until the final bell, battered and bloodied, earning the respect of even their harshest critics. Tyson won by unanimous decision, but the victory felt secondary. What mattered was the spectacle, the reminder that even legends could be tested, even gods could sweat. But beyond the ring, Tyson's greatest enemy was himself. Fame became poison. The money, the women, the entourage, all of it blurred the lines between Mike Tyson, the man, and Iron Mike, the myth. When the scandals came, they hit harder than any punch he'd ever taken. The conviction, the prison sentence, the headlines, it all stripped away his armor. By the time he returned to boxing, he was no longer the untouchable warrior. He was human again, and in that humanity lay tragedy. Still, for those who witnessed his reign, Tyson's legacy remains untouchable. His early fights were lightning in a bottle, moments that defined not just an era, but an attitude. He was raw, he was dangerous, and he was real. He wasn't polished like Ali or charming like Foreman. Tyson was pure authenticity. A kid from the streets of Brooklyn who turned pain into power and chaos into history. When people talk about the greatest fighters of all time, they mention Tyson's name with reverence because he wasn't just fighting opponents, he was fighting destiny. Every punch was a reminder that greatness isn't born in comfort. It's forged in struggle. Iron Mike may have fallen, stumbled, and lost himself along the way, but in that ring, in his prime, there was no one like him. He was the nightmare every fighter prayed would stay asleep. And even today, when you watch those old tapes, the sound of the bell, the sight of Tyson charging across the ring, you can feel that old fear rise again. That was boxing in its purest, most violent form. That was Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet. So now it's your turn. What's your favorite Tyson moment? Was it the knockout that made you jump off the couch or the comeback that reminded you he was still human? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you love stories about legends who changed the game forever, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because more untold stories of boxing's greatest warriors are coming your way.